How does web accessibility impact SEO? Part 2. Hello and welcome to the August 2024 edition of the Majestic SEO panel, where we'll be discussing how web accessibility continues to impact SEO. Back in April, we had part 1 of this discussion, but there was so much that we couldn't cover, so we're pleased to be able to bring back the same wonderful panel for part 2. I'm your host, Heba and joining me today are 4 wonderful web accessibility experts and SEO experts. So let's find out who they are, starting off with Heba.
Hi everyone, I'm Heba Said. I've been working in SEO for 10 years now, and I'm working now as a free consultant for my own business, and you can find me at hebasaid.co.
Superb, thanks for joining Heba. And also with us is Heike.
Hello everyone, my name is Heike. I run the Good SEO company. I've been working in digital marketing for 12 years, specializing in SEO, and nice to be here again.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Heike, again. And another one with us again is Damien.
Hi everyone, I'm Damien Roberts. I'm a search marketing and web accessibility lead in Convatec, a medtech FTSE 100 company in the UK, and it's a global company too. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Damien Robert SEO.
Thank you so much for joining us as well, Damien. And another one with us is Billie.
Hi, thank you for having me back. I'm Billie Gina, and I am the founder of Rank Suite and also a freelance SEO consultant.
Lovely, thank you, Billie. Well, let's start with Damien to begin with. So Damien, in April, in part 1, and you can get that replay, of course, on the Majestic website, we touched upon the European Accessibility Act that becomes law in all EU member states from June 2025. So let's start by exploring that in more depth. So Damien, are you able to give us a bit of a summary of why this law is important?
Yeah, it's very important not only for the country within the EU, but any country that is trading with any country of the EU. So basically, any global company should be concerned, quite logically, and more. So I know that when we had like the GDPR law coming up, lots of people thought that it wouldn't concern the UK because of Brexit, but this is exactly the same story. It will still concern the UK, it will still concern the US or any other country trading with EU countries. And why it's important, it's coming into a force in 28th of June 2025, so in 1 year. And it will concern not only the public sector, but also private companies, so private organizations, with an emphasis on banking online and e-commerce websites when we're talking only about web. But it goes beyond web. It goes to products, to services, to lots of different things. And I will invite people listening to us today to actually have a look at the Act itself. It's available. Just do a Google search, European Accessibility Act. It's available at the EU website, and it's actually quite comprehensive as an act itself.
Okay, so it applies to people in the UK, it applies to people, businesses in the USA and Egypt, Africa, Asia. As long as if you're doing trade with people in the EU. So, I mean, what does doing trade mean with? Does that simply mean allowing people to browse your website, or does that mean trying to get them to buy your product or your service?
Well, it means any audience, really. So anyone who is visiting or wants to interact with your websites, probably when we're talking about e-commerce website and banking online website, and that's probably why the emphasis of the Act is on these websites. It means that there is a trading concept, isn't it? So not only you are an audience of this website, but you are actually doing a transaction there. However, in a similar law that's concerned private companies in the US through the ADA, that has come into force in 2001, so some time ago, we have seen lawsuit cases for people only browsing a website, trying to access the online services of a website. So I think the sky is the limit really there. And if you have an audience from the EU, you should feel concerned. Nevertheless, you are working for the benefits of all. So it is a beautiful journey, web accessibility. It's not a painful restriction.
Beautiful journey. Let's open this up to the panel as a whole. So if an SEO working in an agency is listening to this and thinking, okay, I've got to start talking to my clients about this, what specifically should they be saying to their clients? How do they prepare their clients for this and to ensure that they're as compliant as possible? I'm looking for eyes, and Billie, you go for it.
I'll go first. So for me, when I'm talking to a client about this, first I'll talk about the legislation, what that means, what's already in place, because the UK, the US does already have some laws to support accessibility, but obviously the European Accessibility Act is building on that a lot more, and it's much more effective. I will also talk to them about their user base, what amount of users I can see are coming from the EU, talk about stats within accessibility, like how much of the internet population is living with some sort of access need. And then I'll also try and tailor it to things that they can do, because a SaaS company and a travel company and a banking company, they're all very different. They're very different legislation. So it could be technical changes. We're focusing on one more than content changes, but it's just important that they know they have to make changes, that they listen to what we're saying. And then the biggest thing that I always recommend anyone in SEO doing, especially around changes of legislation, is follow up with an email and CC in every single contact you have, because it should not come back on you of them not being informed. You need to inform them and back yourself, because if they are within one of the many sectors that definitely need to do this, you need to cover your back and everything as well. Like, don't just think saying something on a call is enough.
I like the fact that you mentioned user base, because I mean that's something very easy to do, to actually see what percentage of users are actually coming from the EU. Now, going back, looking at the cookie law, it wasn't brilliantly applied by many businesses. Many businesses were a little bit scared of it. For instance, some websites in the US didn't even allow traffic from the EU or from Europe, because they didn't want to fall foul of that particular legislation. Can you foresee there being similar issues with the rollout of this particular law?
Maybe, yes. I weren't sure if you were asking me in particular. I just
I was asking anyone that was willing to jump in.
Maybe yes, but at the same time, can they afford to lose customer base within the EU? If they can, then they're probably going to do it. But a lot of businesses, they can't afford to exclude an entire continent, essentially. I think it's just really important to provide information and also make that information as accessible as possible, not just in the access needs way, but as in try and explain these accessibility laws in a way that someone who's not tech savvy can understand that it is important, and pass on that message. I do think there's a lot of the content about these changes is a little bit overwhelming. If any of you, whether in the audience or on the panel, has a bit more time, which I know you're all very busy, so I doubt it, but someone needs to take that opportunity and create like a simple guide to this.
I'm gonna jump in here, Billie, because I was thinking the same thing before this panel, and I was like, okay, I opened an Excel sheet and started pointing out stuff, very easy stuff, to give away for people, Just change that and this, and your website is going to be accessible with a little effort. For the US, your question, David, I guess yes, people can do that, but like Billy said, they're gonna lose a whole continent of people that might be interested in their business or in their product. So I think it's not a smart move to do. And for what? For doing some easy tricks to make your website accessible? It's not worth the loss. I mean, losing traffic for this is not worth it. So a little bit of effort, 10 hours of work, and everything is going to be working great.
Great. Okay. So Billy obviously started off by talking about the fact that it's different for different industries. But you did say, Billy, that perhaps you'd start off with technical changes. So bringing Heba and Heike into the conversation, what are some technical changes that you tend to recommend initially as beneficial for web accessibility?
Let's say technically let's say you can have a look at different things, especially something simple is, let's say, even just to think about it. Sorry to say, people have a bit lack of sleep, but there's so many things actually you can do with this. It is so way to do. I just want to add also a little bit what said before here is I think also America and like that will not really reject people from the European Union, because it is also beneficial for them, because 25% of people are disabled and need disabled access to the website. So it's beneficial for that also on the technical level. It can be anything from just photo, image, IDs, descriptions, and like that on there, till having a look what are specific needs specifically for certain people. And one of the things what I talk about with people more and more is not search engine optimization, but search experience optimization. How can we enhance the experience of the searches for people online?
Got you. Okay, so we're not even necessarily talking about our own websites here. It's about optimizing elements such as images, and that can perhaps give you an opportunity from an accessibility perspective to drive people from places like Google image search.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I speak with some people from the deaf community and the blind community also, and they say these are the things that is quite important for them. I talk the same what Damien said about accessible design. I am talking more and more with people about that. Even my websites are gonna go all fully accessible by this year, but I'm gonna talk with experts in every field of it, with from the visual impaired till some of my friends they can't even physically use the website. They need to use voice or different tools.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an easy subject to look at, because there's such a wide range of people that we need to work with. But it gives also businesses a big opportunity. And there's, let's say, yes, we talk about legislation, but also as any business, I show them also what are the benefits of doing this. Tapping into a full new market is, let's say, the same thing as sometimes with smaller businesses. They say, like, why do we need this? I say 1 in 4 people are disabled. So if you eliminate 1 in 4 people from your online platform, your online presence, be it search, be it website, be it something else, means you're missing out 25% of your profits and revenue. And that suddenly turns also in the people's heads, I'm missing that. They should use it actually for the good, but again, revenue is always a good helper with it.
Heba, you mentioned that it would be useful to actually have a document that summarized actions that website designers and SEOs need to take in order to be compliant with this and future legislation. But is there a resource online that people can go to find out about communities that they might not have thought of.
Yes.
Heike mentioned blind communities. I'm sure there are other communities that would have their own individual challenges with being able to access certain web pages.
Yes,
What are your thoughts on that?
I believe I'm talking from the blind communities because I've been there. They actually have websites and resources for web developers of how to make their websites accessible and web accessible for people who are using JAWS and Nvidia. It's like screen readers. So there is resources. So it's very hard for people like us to dig into this, but I can like collect all these in a sheet for people to do because it's very simple. You need to work on your codes, like use a semantic HTML code, use an area code. You need to label your forms, some easy stuff, but it's very simple if we collected all these in a document for people to go to whenever they are building a website. You need to make sure that your keyboard is very accessible with your website, because the keyboard user can like tap and use their keyboard without a mouse. So all of these elements is very technical, but it's just one code that you put into your code. So it's very simple at the same time. It would be easier to have these resources collected in one sheet. So yes, Billy, I truly think it's gonna be helpful for people to have something like that. But I wish that people were gonna use it.
There's a nice resource on the Yale University website, actually. So we've got a table of contents talking about things like link text, image links, designing links, developer techniques as well. So that's a decent resource that people can go to certainly as well. What about testing? How do we test to ensure that our sites are as compliant as possible? Is there software that we can use to do that, or is it
And they are free, actually. They are free and you can test it. You can test via developer tool and Axe developer tool, AXE. Yeah, or Wave. I love Wave because it's a little bit simpler and they do this contrast and color and everything. So it's so cute for me to use as an SEO. Not very complicated.
Brilliant. Okay, yeah, that's wave. It's a webaim.org, I think. It seems to be the website address for that. So that's completely free resource to use, and you simply put your URL in there, and then it'll give you some kind of score, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good place to start. Any other tools that anyone else would like to recommend?
Well, maybe you go for it, Billie.
Sorry.
Please. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So I am a Sitebulb fangirl. I don't hide that. But Sitebulb actually uses the Axe Dev Tools system so you can actually audit accessibility in bulk through just as a normal crawl, which is really good for SEOs, because a lot of SEOs do use Sitebulb. They've already got it, and they can do testing in bulk. I'm a big fan of manual testing as well. So testing on a phone, on a tablet, on a laptop, and trying things out in different scenarios. So I might use it in a text-only browser, go through an entire site just using the keyboard, using a screen reader, whatever. I always find that I learn the most through manual testing. But Axe and Wave are my favorite too. So Heba beat me to it with them too.
Superb. Yeah, and I guess in relation to what you're saying there, Billie, with your manual testing, you can start with seeing who your users are, which you mentioned earlier on, and seeing what devices your users are using, and then trying to test on the most popular devices. Certainly in the old days, when we used to have issues like looking at conversion rates and maybe thinking that, well, people on iPads don't want to buy anything. If you actually tested, you'd see that the button was off the screen on the iPad, and it wasn't possible to complete your purchase on an iPad as well. But unless you do that manual testing, sometimes you don't realize that things like that are happening.
For manual testing, I would even I always advise that when I give a talk about web accessibilities to emulate disabilities or emulate temporary disabilities. You can just close your eyes and try to access the content of your website. You can put your hands in your back and use the voice command of your mobile to go to see how far you can go on your website to actually get to what you call a conversion. And we all had temporary disabilities anyway. I don't know if we all had, but we will probably. And I had very bad arm at some point. Voice command on my mobile showed me that actually I couldn't do everything I wanted to do with my mobile. And I think that's really manual testing should also give that layer of disability, of emulating disabilities. Everybody is able to cover their eyes or their ears.
So is there voice command software that we can download onto our devices and use free of charge that I guess
We've
the
got
blind
native
community would
one.
use?
We all have native voice command on mobile phones. And then there are some voice command native from Windows, for example, or Mac, I suppose. If you want to use a very famous one, which is Dragon a speaker, I think it's called, that's a paid one, but every single device, let's say modern device, should have a native voice command software. For screen reader, there is NVDA, which is free, one of the most famous one. But again, there are native software like Narrator, for example, for Windows, which is integrated too. So usually you just have to go in your settings, tap accessibility, and see what's offered on your device.
Got you. Okay. Well, that's a wonderful testing process sequence that people can go through. And is this something that web developers are actually doing at the moment, or they have to be told to do?
Not always, to say the least.
From my experience, I didn't find anyone who would look into these kind of stuff. So developer and designing are only doing what the client needs, and what they see is beautiful for the user to see, and they don't consider the 25% that we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. I see that the same. I do see that designers are getting a little bit more aware about it, because again, there's the question also with it. I'm neurodivergent, so for me, it's sometimes also the process of it. And I work with some people that have learning disabilities, and it is also easy when in the designs, let's say easy read or something like that comes into place, making sure that people understand. So, but these things you don't see because, again, just coming back, people don't understand it. This is why we need to talk more about it, get more understanding, and that's why it's good that the legislation is coming into the European Union, that forcing the hand of people to learn more about it, and they need to do about it because there's so much good that can be done with it.
So when we talk about assistive E technology, is that what we've been talking about, or is that different software that this refers to?
Assistant technologies, you mean, David?
Yeah, assistive E technology. So I think Heike, you mentioned it beforehand. So essentially technology that would assist users that have impairments to progress through a web page. So is this the integrated software that's part of devices already, or is this additional software that you mean by that?
There is a massive range of software, isn't it, Heike? But screen reader, voice command as the main ones, but we are talking about BCI, these days brain-computer interface, when actually you've got the signal of your brains are actually dictating your browsing on the web. I don't know if you know any other, Heike.
It's sometimes really specific by the needs, and I know also with AI there's on the background a lot of technology that is coming up and processing it and like that. Is, let's say, I just had a presentation the other week, and I'm not promoting Microsoft here, just to be clear, is the Copilot. But what they have in the pipeline for the future is so much better for people to digest information and like that. Is, let's say, me with my ADHD, if it is a meeting, I don't find it interesting, I zone out. I just go and look at a bird or something like that. But meanwhile, my Copilot in that case would then record everything, process everything, and then I can ask it a specific questions. Is, let's say, what did David say about that? And it filters out exactly that information. So I think the technology what we're talking about now is already going to be outdated in 3-4 months, because this is the volume of the change that we are coming, and it's a great thing. But that means also with websites, SEO, etc. Even look at Google at the moment; it already gives you an AI answer to certain questions you put on there, but it pulls from the web, and that's only going to develop more.
So does this mean that in the future, a large part of ensuring that what we publish on our sites is compliant, is accessible, is about ensuring that our website is understood by AI? And if we do that, and perhaps even use AI in the analysis process, then it'll help us to actually determine whether or not our content is accessible.
Oh, for sure. Go ahead, Billie. You go ahead.
Sorry, I've got a lot of thoughts here, and I'd be super interested in everyone else's opinions. But for me, I try to keep AI and accessibility kind of separate, because on the internet, there's no one solution that can create an 100% accessible site for everyone, because it's such a broad spectrum. Disability isn't just one thing. It's 1,000 things, and each thing's its own levels and spectrum within that. So I think with AI, it can improve some things, but a lot of the assistive technology that we use isn't necessarily going to change. We're going to need all sites to be accessible for screen readers, for like easy read browsers. We need everything to be able to work, and it doesn't necessarily need AI to fully understand and comprehend that, because there's always going to need to be a human level to accessibility. That's my belief anyway. I feel free to disagree and whatever.
I fully agree with you, because it is a thing that is a combination of. There's not one solution to it. It is a multi-pronged approach, because AI, some people is just to say, oh, AI is going to take over everything. I see it as a tool that can help a certain amount. As, let's say, for me with dyslexia also, AI can be a great tool helping me with writing, but giving me thoughts. But I'm not expecting the AI to write everything for me. I have other tools, other people, proofreaders, etc., going through that with me. So I fully agree. It needs to be from different levels. It is also from a design, etc. So no, you have my full backing on that one.
Heba, what are your thoughts on this? Are you an all-embracing user of AI when it comes to assisting you with determining web accessibility success?
I agree with everyone here, because I think AI is not looking into people with disabilities, I guess, because he's like AI, he's smart, he's intelligent, he doesn't have any issues, he's just collecting data from whatever back database he got. But I believe that it is going to be helpful for people with disability to use AI, so they gotta use it, not the other way around.
Got you. Okay, so
yeah,
so you need to ensure that your website, your whole experience, can be understood well by AI, and if you do that, then if people that have
I
certain
believe that.
issues with being able
No,
to?
I believe if we're using everything like the rule set for accessibility and the act and everything, I'm not gonna have any problem with AI whatsoever because the code is readable, and this is
Got
what
you.
I'm doing. I'm doing it to for other software to read it, like screen readers, as for example. So if the screen reader can read it, so AI softwares can read it, and so on.
Got you. Okay, so it's that way around. Shall we focus on maybe some common SEO bugs that can be fixed quickly? So maybe Heba, shall we stay with you for a second? What common SEO bugs do you see that can be fixed quickly to have a big positive sudden impact on accessibility?
Yes, the alt tags. This is number one, and everybody's doing it for thousands of years. Well, and it's actually something for accessibility. Labeling your code, maybe this is something very in depth. I believe putting a title and description for your website. This is something for accessibility. Adding a language for your website, it's for accessibility. These kind of stuff is very easy, and the user can do it, or the SEO can do it without any developer. What else? I have like thousands, like anchor texts, adding an anchor text for your links. We're doing a lot of internal linking and backlinking, but give a little thought for your anchor text to be very descriptive about what you're doing. If you're having a form or sign up form or anything, you need to label what the user is actually completing, or is actually writing in the form. Like here you can add your name, here you can add your last name, and so on. This is a label code. It's very simple. So I guess these are the bugs, little bugs. Actually, the contrast. This is a UX, and we need to look into it while we're auditing our website, because it actually you can lose a lot of users because they can't see the bottom, they can read what's on the bottom. So this stuff can really help with SEO, and it's very simple.
So things like contrast, is that something that has to be manually checked, or is there software that can be used to give it a score?
The wave is detecting, software can detect it, and you can detect it. There is a Chrome extension can detect it. There are lots of tools out there that can detect something like that. So whenever you're doing an audit for a website, this is the first thing you do for a website when you receive any project. Just look into these little stuff and add a UX audit for your website. And plays a role,
Sorry,
like Billie said, play that you are fully sighted, you're low vision, you're blind. Play the roles and see if it's working for everyone.
Billie, can you use Sitebulb for all of what?
Yes,
Heba
I'm not a
suggested?
Sitebulb user. Sorry, Kelly.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, that's. I was wondering.
But I
If
love
Billie
it.
Honestly, they should pay me. Like, I'm gonna email them because I just hype them up all the time for free.
And they should give me one for free as well.
So I don't believe you can do the color contrast analysis from the top of my head, but maybe you can, because the Axe Dev Tools does, and that's in there. But I tend to use the color contrast just Chrome plugin. But what I can do is I can find out, and I don't know if we can share links or anything as part of this, David, and I can get some resources together. I'm sure all of us.
Yes, absolutely, and obviously Majestic
million.
will share the episode as part of when it's published in social media as well. So feel free to reply with different links as well, and that would be certainly useful. What about yourself, Damien? Anything that you want to add here?
Yeah, I would go back to the basics and the classics of SEO, really. Everything around the structure, title tag, meta description, and headings are important for screen reader too. In fact, web accessibility, SEO has been born from web accessibility and not the other way around. So your title tag, your meta description, and your heading structure has been designed originally for web accessibility. not for Google. So this is the same work. This is really like a great overlap in the same, at the same level than the alt attributes, really. And I would add everything around time-based media, such as videos or infographics, time-based media, let's say, videos or audio, and add transcription that could be read by search engine bots too, because not only it will add some content to your page without any effort, because it's just a transcription of your video or audio, but it will be accessible then for screen reader, for people who have low vision or are blind.
Do we not? Are we not at a stage now where video can be automatically transcribed and screen readers will automatically know what the audio and the video is saying, or not yet?
Well, that's the same limitation than the other things that everyone talked today. The limitation of AI is that, yeah, we have auto-generated captions, for example, but we've all seen major mistakes, especially when it comes to names or brands or everything important actually for business. It's usually not well auto-generated. In terms of transcription, I don't think there is a free software that is giving you the transcription, but of course, if you upload your video on YouTube and you've got the captions and actually you just like gather the captions and make a transcription out of it, that could work, but I will always manually check them because everything that is auto-generated is imperfect.
Oh yeah, for sure. I want to add also to that one what you said, with especially one of my friends is from the hearing community, is, let's say, she had a lot of issues with transcriptions and like that. She wanted a couple of products where videos were not transcripted or she couldn't get that. So there's still so much to do with it, and automated is not great. It's, let's say, I remember that also one time with a project we did, translating it in multiple languages, but came out with quite interesting translations.
Okay, superb. What about conducting an SEO audit for accessibility issues? Again, is that the software that we've discussed so far, or is there another process or type of software that you would recommend for doing one-off audits just to establish your score, and specifically what you need to do first of all? What should the priorities be in order to get things fixed first?
For me, I always do an accessibility audit at the same time I'm doing the technical audit. A lot of things just cross over naturally. I'm going to be looking to make sure JavaScript's working on a page. I'm going to be making sure everything's working. So why not just take extra steps? The tools that I use are very similar because I will be using Sitebulb or Screaming Frog. I will be using Chrome Dev Tools. I will be using I will be using the accessibility tools on top of that, like that we have already mentioned. Because I will be manually checking a website anyway, because you can't do an audit without actually going on the site. I'm going to just do all of this anyway. So I might as well just spend an extra hour, 2 hours checking everything for accessibility, and wherever I can, and make a connection to the activities, I will be logging them as technical SEO or content SEO issues. It's very rare I will just tell a client something's primarily for SEO because primarily for accessibility, because it's harder to get the devs buying doing that. But if you say it helps with SEO, which ultimately it will, like, I'm a big fan of lying, just for no reason. I don't know why. I love lying. So I can professionally lie. It's great.
Don't believe anything that Billie said today.
Yeah, no, I don't even work in SEO. I just turned up today.
That's a good social clip, yeah. Heike, you look like you want to add something there.
Oh, I loved how you said that, Billie, but it's not lying. It is just getting something across what needs to be across. Because just to say also, it's people don't understand it, but then if you show it's like, oh, it's good for your SEO, they go like, oh yeah, that's better. So that's quite interesting. But the same, yeah, I myself internally, we are going more and more also to the accessibility checks and like that, also from personal reasons for that. And I think it is quite important that there's so many tools out there, what we already discussed, that can help with that. And yeah, for me, it is more important. And I want to make a company that does this and check it and make sure the message goes across. And like Billie, I will lie about so we get something better on the market, but always
I think we can
beneficial.
maybe use a slightly better word here.
Yeah.
I think what it relates to is actually coming up with a positive financial value for the impact that improving web accessibility is like to have. So if you do an analysis, if you have a report for a client,
Yeah.
and if you can provide them with a likely positive financial improvement as a result of the work that you're recommending, then you're more likely to get that work implemented. So, I mean, how do you go about defining that? Can you do that?
Is, let's say, I can use as an example for that is with, I do also sometimes some neurodivergent training, and when I talk to businesses, first they go like, oh, what is that about? But then I say it's like, oh, it's 110% increases your revenue, productivity, 140% this, so that always sells it better, and people go there more acceptant about it.
Brilliant. Anyone
And
else?
let's
would
not
like to
forget
add?
that you are selling your services and your products to 15 to 25% of the population. So that's as much as miss out in terms of money. And there is an initiative in the UK which is called the Purple Pound. Please check it out. And it said that in the UK alone, the spending power of people with disabilities is 300 billion pounds in 1 year. So you're missing out of these pounds, of these 300 billion pounds. And I think that gets the buy-in of senior management straight away, talking about money.
Great advice. Look, let's finish off by asking everyone, what would be the one web accessibility improvement that you could make that is also likely to have an extremely positive impact on SEO? Okay, so the one web accessibility improvement you could make that is likely to have an extremely significant impact on SEO. So we'll get your opinion on that, and then we'll just remind the listener where they can find you online. So, Heike, shall we start off with you? What are your thoughts on that?
One of the easiest ones that everybody can do, again, is be named before he has old names. Just name your pictures. It can have a big impact with your SEO. You can find it easier. So, and anybody can do it. Is, let's say, just describe the picture. What is it about? What's in it? Even go to the specifics, but also you can make a little bit of fun in it, so that when people read it from a screen reader, gets a smile on their face, and getting more of the branding. Is, let's say, a good friend of mine, Isaac Harvey, is really brilliant in that. So yeah, and for the rest, just where to find me, the good SEO company, always around to help and answer any questions when needed.
Wonderful, thank you, Heike. And Heba.
I would go with URL structure and navigation. Easier navigation and good URL structure is good for accessibility and perfect for SEO. So if you do that, you would gain a very positive impact for both worlds. You can always find me in LinkedIn, Heba Saeed, and my website is hebasaeed.co, and I'm happy to help anyone that needs help with accessibility audits.
Lovely. And I'm tempted to ask a follow-up question. I'll ask a follow-up question. So if your URL structure is horrible, if it's long, lots of parameters in there as well, but you do have some reasonable rankings on Google, is it still generally recommended to change your URL structure and make it more simple? So screen readers.
Yes, I believe I'm lying like Billie. So I believe, yes, it's going to be better for your website to do this. I actually, I don't think it's a lie, Billie, because I believe that if you're making your website accessible, it's going to help with your SEO, whatever we're saying. Like you said, it might be good and they are ranking, but a little difference for the 25% that we're talking about. You're losing a lot of money, you're losing a lot of audience. So why not do it for these? So
And
if
where
we talk numbers, we're gonna convince people.
can people find you again, Heba?
Hebasaid.co and LinkedIn Heba Said. Same with
Superb.
Twitter. Thank you.
Damien, so what are your thoughts on that question, first of all, about that number one thing that you can do from a positive web accessibility perspective to improve your SEO?
I would say adding transcription to your video. It's a bit what I said before, and whatever way you do it, if you've got integrated videos on your website, you can just add an accordion with your transcriptions of the video. It will definitely improve your ranking on that page with the video because you've got more text that can be read by the search engine bots. This is just benefiting everyone. Let's not forget that search engine bots are disabled entities. Let's say they cannot see, they can't hear, so they will read the transcription. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Damien Robert SEO. Sorry, I've got lots of homonyms. Also in September, follow me on LinkedIn, and in September I'll tell you where to sign up for a newsletter. We said that in 21 days with change of habits, I'm going to every day send an email with a little tip about web accessibility to be able to open the eyes of lots of people on what they can do factually, really factually in 21 days to improve the accessibility on everything, not only websites. So please do sign up. I've got nothing to sell, just a passion to transmit, by the way.
Search engine bots are disabled entities. That's something to think about. It's a nice way to think about it, but because obviously they don't have the same senses that we do necessarily. So think about your site from their perspective as well. And just one little follow-up question for you as well, Damien. You talked about obviously the benefits of adding a transcription to your video. Does that also apply if you're just embedding a YouTube video on your site?
Yes. Yes, if you're using the iPlayer of YouTube, it doesn't offer you the transcription anyway. It does offer you the transcription on YouTube, the platform, but not on the iPlayer. So do that with YouTube. For Vimeo, you can have the transcription on the iPlayer of Vimeo. However, this is not search engine friendly, so the bots are not going to be able to read it. So I will always advise to add transcription manually in an accordion. Double check manually to make sure that everything is correct and credible.
I love definitive, quick answers like that. Thank you very much. Let's move on to Billie. Billie, what are your thoughts on that final question?
I guess the easiest thing to start with and the quickest win for SEO is to simplify the language that you use on your website. I know for the UK in particular, we've got an average reading age of 9 years old, just as a country. So let's simplify language. Let's not talk in jargon all the time. It also include a simple read version of an article or a summary, or do a TLDR. Similar to Heike, I zone out. I can read, but I can't read. If something's long, I cannot concentrate long enough to read it. So add a TLDR, do something like that. You're getting those extra opportunities to convey whatever it is you're doing. Keywords, great, fantastic. And it helps the users.
And where can people find you online, Billie?
You can find me online as Billie Gina. I'm as that everywhere. Or you can find me at my new project, which is Rank Suite. And we've got some stuff on accessibility coming at some point. Unlike Damien, I am trying to sell things. So check that out.
Thank you very much, everyone. Great discussion. I've been your host, David Bain. You've been listening to the Majestic SEO panel. If you want to join us live next time, sign up at majestic.com/webinars. And of course, check out the other series at SEOin2024.com. Bye-bye.